Yeah, let's talk about Doctor Who, which I think lots of people were holding their breath to see what the revival would be like.
I was holding my breath only to hope that I'd pass out and die.
Yeah, so you could not have to watch the episode. I don't think many hopes were high for Russell T Davies coming back for certain reasons that we will cover in the next little bit. But for kids of the early 2000s, we all grew up on the 2005 revival. We have fond memories of the Eccleston launch. I know I really fancied Billy Piper growing up. And then David Tennant was properly good. A bit more of a Matt Smith man myself. But those first 6 seasons, great stuff. Started to taper off when Capaldi came in. Then Jodie Whittaker almost utterly butchered it. And now David Tennant's back.
I hoped that Capaldi could have... I didn't actually watch that because I felt like it had had its time with me. But I wanted Capaldi to be like the sort of thick of it character that he had, where he'd come in effing and jeffing and swearing at aliens, shouting at them until they are intimidated and give up.
He did a little bit of that in season 10, but he was bogged down by his companions.
Right. Massive Doctor Who fan. I had a collection of literally every DVD and a magazine series that came out.
I remember those magazines, yeah.
I don't know how many people were actually holding their breath for this, because I imagine it's similar it is similar because we can look at the viewing figures. That after David Tennant and some Matt Smith stuff, most people just kind of tuned out.
4 million dropped off a week you got to Capaldi, and then it dropped down to about 3 million people that watched the specials for Jodie Whittaker. So that was about 7 to 8 million audience drop off from the peak.
And that's with more humans around as well than the 2000s. There's just
a higher population, yeah.
And that's with iPlayer as well.
Yeah, and with iPlayer and everything else and all the other increases you could possibly do to try and help out the BBC. Everyone, I think, is aware that Woman Doctor Who happened, and then it went like full on woke retarded.
It was quite bad with Capaldi though. So in the early days, Doctor Who was always a tad progressive flavored, but because the political zeitgeist wasn't so unbearable, things like Captain Jack bonking everyone in sight, no matter their sex, was just an endearing part of his scallywag character.
But also, there was a reason in the universe, which is humanity expands all over the universe, and then we kind of become sexual degenerate, the Doctor says at one point.
Yeah.
So yeah, you go around having sex and everything. That's why he's the way he is.
Yes. And then you get to a couple of episodes like Empty Child or Robot of Sherwood, where Mark Gatiss throws in a pro-Marx line. You could just write those episodes off. Then it gets to season 10 with Peter Capaldi and Bill, who is named after the first Doctor actor, William Hartnell, and is a black lesbian. And then they go to the Frost Fair, and she notices that suddenly all the Victorians are black. And she mentions this, and Peter Capaldi goes, "So was Jesus, history is a whitewash." What wasn't?
That happened.
Well, it was a factual lie as well, because Stephen Moffat was interviewed by the BBC about this, and he said, "We've got to tell a kind of lie. We look back in history and say, how would it have been better? And so we've made it more diverse." That was in a BBC article. So Doctor Who's been going down for quite some time, but people thought, okay, maybe we can at least, before it crashes and burns with Nguti Gatwa, who is a Rwandan migrant who went to Scotland, who is non-binary and gay, and who says the Doctor's going to use they, them pronouns, before he becomes a Doctor, we've got David Tennant back for 3 episodes.
Oh, that was a joke. I didn't know that was real.
Yeah. He's the next Doctor.
Okay.
He's the next Doctor. This is why they've put David Tennant up. Now, people thought maybe David Tennant might be able to bring some joy for like a little bit. Sorry to report, I've watched it, and it's one of the worst things I've ever seen. It was comparable to essentially the kind of progressive skin suiting you would get if your mum had just announced that she'd divorced your dad, and then to smooth things over at the dinner table, she dug up your nan's corpse and puppeteered her around. That's how this feels to watch.
Blimey, I wasn't expecting that analogy, but
it's horrible.
It must have been bad for that.
Oh, I'm going to sit you through some of the most skin-crawling cringe clips imaginable, boys. So sit back,
wonderful.
Relax, and enjoy me torturing my colleagues with our dead childhoods. If you'd prefer a better time travel narrative, you can subscribe to the website for as little as £5 a month and watch me and Harry's passion project, mainly mine, which is The Politics of Life is Strange, which is actually a really good and popular video. So I'm really chuffed with that.
Hey folks, did you know that YouTube has now demonetized our content, making our sponsors and partners more crucial for our survival than ever? That's why we're thrilled to introduce you to Flexagain. In today's world, where the grip of pain is all too common, we face a growing issue. Millions of individuals battle the persistent torment of joint pain every single day. Inflammatory compounds are everywhere, infiltrating the air we breathe and the food on our plates. Mainstream media trivializes these issues, distracting us from what truly matters. But there is hope. With Flexagain, you'll be offered a way out of pain. Flexagain is an innovative joint supplement carefully designed to address the root causes of joint discomfort. Flexagain contains a potent blend of 11 scientifically recognized vitamins, minerals, and natural compounds, all designed to provide you with the ultimate joint relief. A true blessing for those who've experienced the trials of life. To continue supporting us here at Lotus Eaters and bid goodbye to joint pain forever, please choose Flexagain. You can start your Flexagain journey today by clicking the link in the description or using the promo code LOTUS when ordering Flexagain. By supporting Flexagain, you not only help us at the Lotus Eaters, but also secure an exclusive 20% discount on your Flexagain purchase. Embark on the path to a pain-free, flexible future with Flexagain today.
This is the reason that people thought, well, Russell T Davies is coming back. He was the showrunner that relaunched it. Maybe it's going to be good. Turns out Russell T Davies wrote and
We covered this back when he did it.
We did, yeah. This was accepting an award for It's a Sin, which was a drama about the 80s AIDS crisis, which is essentially where a bunch of gay men had unprotected sex and died. Which, okay,
That's
sad
how it works,
they died.
yeah.
Lifestyle choices may have led to this, but neither here nor there. So he gave a speech saying that the LGB Alliance were conducting a trans genocide. So his exact quotes were, in the speech, to which everyone clapped, of course, one of their favorite things to do is say, oh, LGBTQIA+. Isn't that funny? You've got so many letters. Well, yeah, it kind of is, because you just keep expanding the acronym, but fine.
EIAIO.
Bro, you literally have a plus at the end.
Yeah. It's limitless expansion. It's like the UN's definition of woman, where it's like an eldritch god, timeless, formless, the world.
They should just go by plus, surely. That's easier. Like Elon Musk rebranded to X. It's just simpler and easier. Just be plus now.
Plus movement.
In what society is having too many letters a bad thing? One where you try to speak coherently, I suppose?
This whole speech.
Is he not familiar with the Tower of Babel? I mean,
Good reference. More letters is good. He literally says more letters equals more good. All right? More letters includes everyone. But then along comes the LGB Alliance and they say, no, we can only have 3 letters. We're going to cut off the T. You can't have LGBT. We're going to cut off the LGB from the T. To cut out the T is to kill. No, the LGB Alliance's contention is that it's actually incoherent to have a sexuality-based rights movement and a sexuality and gender abolition movement together. It's about as incoherent as your speech is, Russell, but that's fine.
I've got some letters for Russell T Davies.
Do you have the rest of the speech?
Where he
then
just
goes on
decides to cut off the T from a bunch of
he
different
literally
words.
gets rid of the letter T from it. So he just sounds incoherent. And it's just like, this isn't making the point you think it is. This is just you being a moron on stage.
Yeah, it's you babbling like an imbecile. And it turns out that's basically must have been how he wrote the script, given the delivery in the actual episode. So ahead of this, David Tennant's Doctor was relaunched, and much like they did in 2006, his first appearance was in a Children in Need episode after he regenerated. So they did like a 5-minute Children in Need special, which is back in 2006. This was the connective tissue between the parting of the ways and the Christmas invasion, where he talks about going to the planet Barcelona and then collapses, and that feeds into him getting his suit and everything in the Sycorax ship. So in this one, they decided to have him crash land on the Daleks' home planet right before the Daleks are invented, and he accidentally names the Daleks, gives them a plunger, and gives them the word exterminate. Bit tongue-in-cheek, and it retroactively destroys the canon, but that's fine. One of the important
Not fine.
things...
Sorry, that's terrible.
I agree, it's annoying, but we it's not the worst thing you're going to hear today, right? So this is how it opened. This is the first line from David Tennant's Doctor after he regenerates, right? So why? Because that really brilliant woman killed the series.
Yeah, because the viewership's crap. Mate.
Yeah, because nobody's bloody watching. That's why.
You know what's so cringe about this is because David's Scottish. Sorry to say it, but it is a problem with the Scots right now. He has no mechanism to actually defend himself to what's been done to his legacy. Like, he's just going along with this. You can see it. It's just like,
No.
no one else would go along with this, man.
Callum, he's not. He's fully bought on board with it. I'm sorry to say.
That's what I mean.
will prove that by the end.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's fully going along with everything. It's just like, no other self-respecting person would. This is
Oh yeah,
terrible.
I understand now. I thought because most people are going to watch this and think that David Tennant is just sort of turning up and doing as he's told.
No, he's on board.
He's a bought-in ideologue, unfortunately. Speaking of bought-in ideologues, this mini episode included Davros, but not Davros as you know him. You're cackling because you've already seen what happens. I'm going to play this clip from Russell T Davies where he talks about his need to update Davros.
Taste has moved on, and there's a problem with the Davros of old in that he's a wheelchair user who is evil. And I had problems with that. And a lot of us on the production team had the problems with that, of associating disability with evil.
Nobody
And
made that
trust me,
connection.
No.
There's a very long tradition of this. I'm not
Is
blaming
there?
people in the past at all, but the world
Where?
changes. And when the world changes, Doctor Who has to change as well. So we made the choice to bring back Davros without the facial scarring and without the wheelchair or his support unit, which functions as a wheelchair.
It's not a wheelchair.
I say, this is how we see Davros now. This is what he looks like. This is 2023. This is our lens. This is
current
our
year.
eye. Things used to be in black and white. They're not in black and white anymore. And Davros used to look like that. And he looks like this now. And that we are absolutely standing by. I think because it's Children in Need Night, it's a night where issues of disability or otherness or being excluded from society come right to the front of the conversation. So of all the nights to make this change, I think it was absolutely vital to do this. And I'm very, very,
Dumbest man
very
alive.
proud of the fact
Yes.
that
On behalf of all those children that identify with Davros, I mean, God forbid we offend people that have a giant blue eye in the middle of their forehead.
I want to sort of paraphrase Forrest Gump and say, Davros, you got new legs.
He's a cyborg. He's genuinely a cyborg, and he's done this to himself. It's not like he tripped down a flight of stairs or had a skiing accident. He decided to make himself a war machine. And he's a villain. Like, you're not meant to feel sympathetic for him.
Besides the obvious retardation of being like, men in wheelchair, evil, therefore all men in wheelchair evil. No one thought that.
I did
honestly.
notice that they dressed him up like a mid-century German as well. That's,
Yeah, this is the problem with them. Literally all they can see is representation. I saw some green text saying this, and it's so on the money, which is they see person in wheelchair who evil, therefore that's all they can see whatsoever. They can't see Davros himself. So when they had to make a character who's evil, they literally just chose a white man. That's what they've
Yes.
done. They made him a white man now.
They
Thanks,
made
Russell.
him. They just made him a Nazi.
They have.
How creative! Wow.
Well,
Great.
the race, I forget the name of the race, but they were meant to be some kind of weird alien
Begins with
fascist.
C, no, begins with K.
Yeah, but they were meant to be some race of alien fascists anyway. Like they had the uniforms, the ones who weren't in cyborg outfits. But that wasn't the point. Like it was never about, oh my god, he's in a wheelchair, therefore he's evil, therefore that's. I can't read. I'm sorry, you literally made the enemy a white man just because that's how your brain thinks, even in your terms. Because if a man in a wheelchair equals wheelchair people bad, and then you make the enemy here white man, well, what does that mean, Russell?
Also, his deformity is a consequence of his own actions. He dies as a result of his own hubris in the revival that Russell T Davies brought him back in. I'm getting mad about nothing. Anyway, so people point this out to him, including people that were in wheelchairs. And Russell T Davies doesn't like fan feedback very much because someone responded to him on Instagram saying, Davros isn't a wheelchair user. He's partially mutated Khaled in a life support system halfway between Khaled and Dalek. Like, I was perfectly fine seeing Davros pre-accident. I think a lot of fans have wanted to see this for some time, but to insist that this is for better representation of disabled people is just utterly bizarre. If we're going to pretend, as you suggest, Davros was never in the chair or he just got better, well, that undermines one of the greatest villains who ever lived. And Russell T Davies, who doesn't have better things to do than just to reply to people in his comments, just went tough.
I don't care. I'm going to destroy your series,
Yes.
everything you liked, and you're going to have to live with it.
Yes.
I'll just get tuned out.
Yep.
Just not going to watch.
Yep. Not gonna watch after this first one. Also, this was Russell T Davies' replacement disabled character in the episode. So there was a brand new unit scientist. I think she's Advisor 56, and she is in a wheelchair.
Oh, that's a very humanizing name, Advisor 56.
I forget what
Really
her actual
helps.
name is because she's such a forgettable character. Other than this one scene, right? Brace yourself. Okay.
Oh, she's got a chair.
She's got a chair with a missile launcher.
Whoa. All
And
wheelchair
she's
people
also
have
got a wheelchair
missiles.
with knockout darts.
Whoa. All wheelchair people are murderers. Whoa.
Well,
Yeah, following that same logic.
as Nerderotic pointed out, it's like, right, Unit clearly has a great budget where you have a missile launching, darting chair. But first of all, earlier in the episode, she can't go up a flight of stairs. So why doesn't it have a jetpack in it? And also, if you can build this kind of technology, why doesn't she just build herself an exosuit and walk?
Because then it wouldn't be representation, would it?
Yes, but it would make sense, and that would be a much better episode. But of course, I'm just thinking about coherent writing here. So, this was the episode, The Star Beast. Now, it's based on an old comic strip by Dave Gibbons, the guy that authored Watchmen. So it's a pretty famous one. It's one that's in the beloved canon of the extended universe of Doctor Who, which the BBC are now branding the Whoniverse. Part of this is their very, very gay, very, very trans direct quote podcast.
Yeah.
So
We covered that back in the day.
glad they're expanding that out. Just some general thoughts on the episode, right? So first of three specials. It feels totally soulless. They've got loads of establishing shots. It feels a bit like a Disney Plus show. All the performances feel phoned in. Nobody's giving a particularly compelling line delivery. They also keep telling you how beautiful the new companion is. The new companion is a 20-year-old transgender actor called Rose. Yes,
They're literally doing the skin suit
of Billy Piper's character. Yeah. I'm just going to jump into some clips, which, if this does go out on YouTube, who knows at this point? You probably won't be able to watch them. We'll just talk about them afterwards, just in case. Brace yourselves, gents. So the first one of the introductions to this Rose character is that they get dead named. Doctor Who. Because this was a necessary scene. Great.
Just make something entertaining.
It's not even a
I don't want to talk
feasible.
about fucking pronouns after work. I'm sorry.
It's not even a feasible depiction of dead naming because they were quite far away. All they could just see is the back of someone's head. It was so forced in there. It's not like it's an actual part of the story in any way.
Oh, it is.
Oh, really?
Yes. The entire episode is a trans allegory. I'm not joking. Everything from the lighting in the TARDIS towards the end where it goes pink and blue to how the conflict gets resolved. And most people thought, okay, they're playing
Does transgenderism save the day?
Multiple times.
Amazing.
It turns out
brilliant writer.
It turns out the Daleks are really vulnerable to puberty blockers. Who'd have thought?
It doesn't save the day for about 40% of said transgenders, but there we go. That's all right. Okay, next clip, in case that you weren't put off by that. You know how Donna's mum is a sort of beloved character because she's comedic relief. She always puts the Doctor in his place. She decides to keep her daughter safe. Well, they just decided to basically disparage her and make Donna a pronoun policing Karen. All right. In the space of about 5 minutes, they call this transgender actor beautiful and gorgeous about 4 times. It's like Pavlovian conditioning to make sure the audience affirms them. It's not dialogue. It's reaching through the screen and smacking you with the message.
Look what you did, Russell T Davies. Look, this is a defeated man now.
I looked like that on the train this morning rewatching this garbage. I know, it's depressing. Yeah.
Why did they turn my favorite show into Marxist propaganda?
I mean, they tried it a couple of times, but it was at least more subtle, and you could write the episodes off. I'm sorry, mate.
I don't know. Why did they? Because they've killed her as well. Like, you can get this right. I'm looking at that footage there, and I remember Donna and her mother. None of those people are in that footage there. Donna and her mother have been killed and replaced with some people I don't know. Talking about politics for some bloody reason.
It does get worse as well. So the villain of this piece is something called the Meep. Now, they play on ET a little bit because the Meep gets found by Rose among some bins in a back alley, and Rose puts them in the shed among a bunch of soft toys that they're making and selling abroad to Dubai on their online business. And Donna discovers the Meep by prodding it in the eye, thinking it's a soft toy. So they all scream and run to the living room, and the Doctor ends up there, and he's trying to solve the conflict. And the Doctor obviously can't allow Donna to remember him, otherwise her brain explodes and she dies. So they have a conversation with the Meep, who ends up being the villain, voiced by Miriam Margolyes, who went on Graham Norton's show like 2 weeks ago and had a bit of a struggle session about pronouns, because it turns out that she used to be a bit turfy on grammar grounds alone. And among saying that if you didn't vote yes in the Aboriginal voice referendum, you're a racist, she also said that an Australian actress convinced her to change her mind on pronouns with the winning argument, because this Australian actress was non-binary, of, and I quote, "If someone chooses to identify as non-binary, it doesn't affect you." And the entire audience claps.
Which is why you now have to change all of your language.
Yeah, that doesn't affect you. The noises your mouth makes, that's not an effect on you.
Yeah, your belief in fundamental truth claims down to the binary nature of sex doesn't affect how you operate and show up in the world and whether or not civilization continues. But it does affect what the Doctor has to say. Do you want to listen to the Doctor get lectured about pronouns?
Go on then.
Yeah. I'm just going to let that one hang there for a minute.
Oh,
It's cripplingly depressing. Again, the only consolation is that the Meep, as in the vector through which pronoun correcting happens, is a really vindictive villain that wants to destroy all of...
good casting for Miriam Margolyes then.
Yeah, but she is the one that said that that Brexit and Trump voters were fundamentally racist and you couldn't live with them. So a delusional little goblin, yeah, probably about right. There is just obviously all modern media is crap these days. So it looks crap, it's filled with the message, and it's incoherent. One of the Meep's plan is to get off world by using a machine that harvests the Earth's core for rocket fuel, and it's going to destroy all of
So
London.
iron.
So it's going to destroy all of London. So Callum's going to be happy with that bit, right? But it opens up lava channels, and it only goes down roads for some reason, like actual tarmac roads.
Well, at least it obeys the traffic laws.
Yeah. And Sadiq Khan will be delighted. And then when they turn the machine off, suddenly the road reforms, even though there's giant lava channels in the middle of the. Like it magically reconfigures.
It's considerate enough because it goes by non-binary pronouns that it closes the road up and it tears it up because it's just better than us, obviously.
It leaves the universe cleaner than it found it. Yeah, fantastic. What about this next bit, right? So this is Donna and the Doctor's reunion. Yeah. So the Doctor and Donna. When Donna remembers the Doctor, she becomes Dr. Donna for a moment. Okay.
Such a stupid plotline.
Well, it worked in the crossover episode.
Such a boring end to that episode, but whatever.
It was sad, all right. But you didn't have to revisit it. Okay.
Yeah.
They revisited it, and then Donna dies, and then she magically wakes up. And the reason she magically wakes up is because the transgender actor playing her daughter has Time Lord powers. So she siphoned off some of the Time Lord energy into her daughter, which makes her daughter a super genius. And do you remember the last line that Donna said before she glitched out and fainted? She was saying binary, 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 binary.
Binary 9.
You can see where this is going. And then everyone clapped.
When you said it was a trans allegory, I thought it would be a bit more allegorical.
It's unrelentingly painful. Like, even the screen behind Callum's having an aneurysm.
Yeah. When even the set is cringing, you know it's bad.
Also, people obsessed with representation and power, famously good at letting go of power. Love that. There is one more, and I just thought it was ironic, because this is in the last minute of the show, and this is the only time throughout the entire show that they were honest. You said it better than I did, love. Anyway, so if you're confused as to why it's taken this turn, it's not just Russell T Davies, and it's not just as some generally Americans see it, which is that it's now being distributed by Disney Plus, which means they're on ESG. No, David Tennant's a total ideologue as well. This was the first tour of the new TARDIS, and I believe that's his son.
He's 10 years old.
Yeah, whose shirt says, "Let's get one thing straight, I'm not."
That's so weird to have on one of your young children.
Yeah. Graham Linehan pointed this out a little while ago, and because he and David Tennant had the same agent representing them, the agent dropped Graham Linehan.
That's going to age poorly for that agent, isn't it?
Yeah. David Tennant also, this was for the Good Omens Season 2 promotional photos. He wore a t-shirt that said, "Leave trans kids alone, you absolute freaks. Why are you obsessed with stealing the fertility from children?" And he also wore a non-binary rainbow pin.
If you scribble out the word trans, that's kind of based.
Yes, agreed. Would be better. It's funny, actually, because the t-shirt brand is Crooked. Okay. And then he's just been wearing a trans TARDIS pin on the one show and for Rolling Stone interviews. And so he's just... David Tennant, most people's favourite Doctor, I would say, the spearhead of the revival after Christopher Eccleston left.
I always preferred Christopher Eccleston, and I didn't watch it after he left.
I loved Matt
After
Smith,
Tennant.
but Tennant, people really have fond memories of him. I still like going back and watching the old series, and he's just got such a black mark on his career, and it's such a black mark. We'll finish with this because it turns out like a critical drinker viewer must work for the BBC, because the BBC's own review says, and I quote, "If you've been indifferent to Who, this won't be the episode to convert you. And if you're altogether new to the show, you'll probably wonder what all the fuss has been about. And although the show has always been progressive, look at the number of stories over the decades about, for example, threats to the environment. This special is preachy, and by the end, little more than a delivery system for the message." The BBC's own review says it's a preachy delivery system for the message.
They capitalized the T and the H, sorry, the T and the M there.
Yeah, that's a critical drinker meme. So someone has infiltrated the BBC. So if you're watching, well done. You're bang on right. I'm not watching the next two specials, even if Neil Patrick Harris is bringing back the Toy Master. R.I.P. Doctor Who.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Brokenomics series, this episode on Confessions of an Economic Hitman. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.